Thank you for staying with us. We are now on to the second half of TVC Breakfast this Thursday, and let's move on with yet another conversation, and it's hovering around Governor of Zamfara State, Dauda Lawal, crying out recently that the state is under siege of banditry and kidnapping, and he is pleading with the federal government to come to the aid of residents. The governor lamented that the state has become an epicenter of banditry despite all efforts by his administration to tackle this menace. He revealed this after meeting with President Bola Tinubu in Abuja over the current security crisis bedeviling the state. And Governor Lawal attributed the situation to the poor military presence in the state, pleading with the president to increase the number of military personnel in the state. He also says unless urgent action is taken to address the problem, the entire North stands the risk of witnessing larger security challenges than ever before. We have with us in the studio now certified Master Anti-Terrorism Specialist Dixon Osaji. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for
this has been a recurrent problem. Zamfara State still reeling from the effects of banditry and similar crimes. But what are your thoughts on the helplessness before Governor Dauda Lawal right now?
Amazing, you know. Zamfara State has been suffering from this bit of insecurity for a long while. And, you know, I listened to him yesterday when he was addressing the press. I think he's frustrated. You know, one thing about leadership is that if you can't get things right, you tend to be frustrated. Well, I advise you not to be frustrated because security is achievable. That is one thing I want to let him know today. It's achievable. And Zamfara State is approximately about 4 million people within that given state. It's not the largest state in Nigeria. And also, he said these guys have taken over the territory. For me, I will advise that the governor should start looking at you know, talking to his people, you know, as well, talking to the political leaders. It's not about military. You know, sometimes people have that wrong notion that when you bring in the military, things will go well, everything will go well. No, it won't do that because projecting military in conflict zone areas doesn't result to peace. It could, you know, eliminate that threat, but it will not bring them to a state of peace. They could be in a state of negative peace. That means at any given time an incident can still spring up. So for me, the governor should take it easy, one. Secondly, he should also start looking at, you know, spending, you know, security funds properly. Because most times we centralize our problem. When an incident happens, they run to Abuja. They run to Abuja. And the reason why they run to Abuja, I have not been able to ascertain, possibly, maybe because they don't have that powers to, you know, give military directives. But it should leave the military behind. We have police. The Nigerian police are solely responsible for internal security duties, and they should give the police an opportunity to try and fail.
The police is still under the federal government. Possibly that's why he went to the federal government for help.
Yeah, he's demanding for military. Why is he demanding for military? See, Theophilus, the military, we fail to understand that they are our last hope of defense. They are our last resort. They, you know, they shouldn't be projected in any given situation. That is why these guys, these bandits, these terrorists, they no longer fear our military because we've exposed them to unreasonable threats. You know, in the early days, if you get an information or perhaps perceive that the military are coming to a crime-prone area, before the military gets there, those guys will disappear. But now they won't take the fight back to our military base. Why? Because they've seen our military, they've seen all about our military. They've seen their strength, they've seen their weakness, they've seen their capability and capacity. So for me, let's build a formidable policing system that will, you know, carry out all architectural approach, surveillance approach, technological approach, you know, crime and management approach. Because I was watching a movie some while ago and a crime took place. You know what happened? There was an area pursuit, there was land pursuits. But here we don't go after criminals. We allow them to go to their renters bus and relax and start asking for billions of naira after commissioning crime.
So you earlier mentioned about the fact that the governor needs to talk to his people.
Oh, yeah.
About what exactly? They carry arms, or what do you think he should talk to them about?
We have a president that was from the north, President Muhammadu Buhari, 8 good years. And so sad, after his 8 years administration, the state of insecurity in the north got worsened. Got worse because he might want to say he successfully decimated Boko Haram. I will not believe that notion, because for me, I think that the decimation of Boko Haram was tactical in the area of Operation Safe Haven Corridor, Operation Safe Corridor,
right.
because when you pardon these guys, we don't have the database to even follow them up. You know, sometimes in foreign country, if you are granted parole or maybe you are being placed on house arrest, these police guys will monitor you, monitor your character, monitor if truly you've changed. But most of these repentant militants or repentant terrorists we've classified as repentant. Do we have any structure in place to check them, to see what they're doing? Where are they presently? Can we, identify their present location? What are they doing? Are they into businesses or whatever? Or they've gone back to banditry? That is why when Boko Haram dropped, banditry, escalated, because most of these guys, they've seen that, hey, we don't need to keep fighting and believe that we're going to go to heaven and meet some virgins. Let's just enjoy our Savior on earth. And that's why they've commercialized terrorism. Pick Nigerian students, 200 in mass numbers, and you begin to ask for money. So for me, I still repeat, we have a formidable policing system. Let us build the capacity of our policing system. Theophilus, as it stands, we are not preparing for war, because any given nation must prepare for war.
In times of peace.
Yes, in times of peace, because the best time to prepare for war is the time of peace. Just imagine how Boko Haram took us by surprise. Imagine how banditry took us by surprise. Where are we now? Where are we going to? Our soldiers are dying every day. Officers and men being killed like chicken. Look at what happened in Oklahoma and other places. Are they trained to die so cheap? So we have a lot to do, because if the governor is crying for military, the military never created that mess. Those who created the mess should be talked to. Who are the sponsors of these guys? How did they get these arms? Where did they get it from? How? So, it's a disturbing
There is
situation.
also the issue of the caliber of arms that these bandits carry,
Yes.
as against, the police officers that you are advocating for. From us here, at least for us here on this side, and many observers, they say the police is overstretched, and they themselves have said as much. And now with the federal government and state governors now agreeing to some form of state policing, community policing and all that, even though the modalities have not been released yet, it hasn't been implemented. But what are your thoughts? There is some form of community policing system in Zamfara state, but only recently we saw how they too fell to the bullet, to the overriding powers of the bandits. So what are your thoughts in how this can be the solution to the problem?
Fantastic question. Security is systematic, and that is why we need to understand. And first of all, what is happening about Zamfara State now, the governor of Zamfara State needs to carry out a threat perception analysis. You understand? You rightly talked about these guys having superior arms or firepower to the local security agent, but I don't think there's any security force, any criminal force, criminal enterprise within Nigeria that has,
should be.
Yes, or that has more superior power than our security agent or our military. And look at training, for example. Do you know how long it takes to train a police officer? Do you know how long it takes to train a soldier? Do you know how long it takes to train an army officer? Training is very important. So you can't have people well trained, and those that are untrained are decimating those that are well trained. That tells you there is an operational error. What are the operational error? What is the operational error here? One of the operational errors you have identified within the policing and military system is mismanagement of their men, officers and men. Because take, for example, you are sending a soldier to a front line. Before I respond to this, I saw a friend of mine. He posted on Facebook last week. He was my colleague in the Armored Division. He said he has been in the front line for 4 years. Praise be to God. And I replied, why would the military leave you in the front line for 4 good years? That means someone who got an admission into University of Lagos 4 years ago. A soldier is still fighting in the front line, fighting an enemy he never created. So that is an operational error in its own, and it's also demoralizing because these soldiers don't know when they're going home. When you don't know when you're going home, you're not going to put all your fight. Because if you know when you're going, for example, now, you're here today, possibly by 5 o'clock, maybe you are gone home, you're going to work all hard. But somebody say you are here, maybe you don't know, maybe you'll be closing by next week or next month. I think he's going to demoralize you a little bit. So that's why we need to set timing for our officers and men. Each time they go for any operation in any given area, let's not just go and dump them there. Because what's happening in Nigeria, our military are dumping our officers and men in a particular area and just leave them there for 3-4 years. Operational error. That is going to weaken their capability and capacity. Then also we should start looking at manpower as well. What is taking us so long to build more strength, strength in numbers. Are you with me? Because if you have the equipment, you have the processes, you have the manpower. If you don't have the men or the officers and men to cover that given area, you keep on suffering from this criminal element. So the governor of Zamfara State should understand that the state is in danger, and then we should start looking at carrying out some assessment and know what to do and how to resolve the issue.
Tell us more about your thoughts as to what you feel Governor Dauda Lawal and his counterparts in that northwest region, what they seem to be doing wrong. Because I'm looking at this helpless nature, or the helpless situation that they find themselves, how it must seem to the bandits, to the bad guys. We've seen a governor from the northeast, I believe former now, who took a picture, so to speak, with these bandits, and people have said, right. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, you see, he must understand that the criminal elements will never defeat the state. Have that mindset. This criminal element will never defeat the state. You see, one thing about this criminal element is that what they do is that they want to cause shame. They want to embarrass the government. Yeah. They want to also gain publicity, and they also want to, put the society in a state of fear. And that is why presently what we're suffering from in Nigeria, we're suffering from societal threats. And when a country suffers from societal threats, it should be classified as a war situation. As it stands in some parts of the northern region, they are in a war situation because people are being killed every day. People are being destroyed every day. Homes are being destroyed. Imagine some of them in IDP camps. They're taking the fight even to IDP camp, displacing them.
Hold the thought for a while. We need to go on a break. Then we will continue this conversation. We need to go on a break at this point. Please stay tuned.
Thank you for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. So we have, in the last couple of minutes, been looking at, ways to tackle the banditry in the northwestern region of the country, especially in Zamfara State, which is said, even acknowledged by the governor, Dauda Lawal, to be the epicenter of this menace. And we have with us certified master anti-terrorism specialist Dixon Osagie, who have been sharing his thoughts on the matter. Still on the point, Dixon, of what northwestern governors can do as against the helplessness that they regularly portray. And it was a fierce contest between Dauda Lawal and the erstwhile incumbent Governor Matawale, and now he is there, and that question will naturally pop up, that you should have had some form of ideas or plan to tame this,
for governor.
Right, before heading for that office, and now you are there. But okay, all right, the extent of the problem is right there, so he's seeing it and all of that. But what do you think about calls for a northwestern approach, for these governors to come together and think up a plan, perhaps maybe a plan where they can tame this common
devil? Just like we have that of Amotekun.
In the southwest, though there are hitches in the southeastern, Ebubeagu is also expressing some form of challenges. But in the northwest, for example, now, can't that work, or will it work?
Excellent question. You see, sometimes in security, you need to be very careful when it comes to, giving arms to people who perhaps don't have a job or perhaps don't have a good living. It's only in our country we get away with stuff like that, because if you check, most of these arms and ammunition are in the hands of those that are not even well-to-do. A lot of them, just keep pushing and keep trying their best. For me, I think the northern governors and the northern elites, they failed the north over time, because it is the northern thing. It is the northern people. Let's not see it as, we do centralize our problem in Nigeria. Politically, we centralize it. If it's happening, you see a governor running to Abuja. No, you don't do that, because you were voted into power because during the election campaign, you made a lot of promises. Now, let's go and check the promises of the present governor of Zamfara State. Did he promise to restore the people of Zamfara State in a state of peace? Yes, he did. So what he should be doing now is, first of all, to ascertain, bring in professionals to carry out an assessment, crime mapping and assessment. Because you don't just call the military and say, just a problem, come. No, you need to tell the military where the problem is, where it's coming from. And that's where threat intelligence comes to play. What is the problem? Who are the people involved? Where is the location? How do we decimate these guys? Very important to carry out those assessments and ask questions. So for me, I think for now, he should call his people, because what we're doing in this country, which is very bad, is that we politicize in everything we do. During the election, you see a lot of promises. During the election, you see a lot of killings, a lot of ballot snatching. And I've said it many times on this forum. I said, leaders should lead by example. People practice from what people learn from. Some people, let me not generalize it, learn from what they see. If I see a particular party or some guys going to snatch ballot boxes with guns and chase away Nigerians, and somebody sends them to go and do that, that person is already certifying criminality. That person is already okaying crime. And when that person wins election and go back to Abuja, these guys they made use of will become a threat to the society. So I think INEC and our security agent or the DSS should start looking deep into political thuggery. Because if you check the emergence of this nonsense, you will discover that most times our leaders played a role in it. So we must lead by example, and our leaders must take care of that issue political-wise. I'm done with the political angle. Then security-wise as well. Police, army, navy, air force, they are there to protect the people, protect them from internal or external aggression. And now we have various formations of disaster. We have the natural disaster coming. We have the man-made disaster. We have the inadvertent disaster. Luckily for you and I, Nigeria is so blessed. We don't have a lot of natural disaster. If you add the man-made disaster we're going through in this country, and perhaps we are a country of high rates in the area of natural disaster, Nigeria would have disappeared. But we keep on destroying ourselves. It is an internal thing, you know, it is an internal solution. And first of all, for us to succeed, we need to identify the sponsors of these guys. Because most times you keep on killing these guys, Theophilus. You kill them till eternity.
Now, in identifying these guys, what is the place of interagency collaboration? Because we see sometimes that one agency has intelligence and passes it on to the appropriate agencies who do nothing about it until the crime has been committed. Yeah. So what is the place of interagency collaboration?
Well, if you ask me, if I am the president of this country, I will fire a lot of people, you know. Sometimes you see last man will release intelligence, road safety will release intelligence, quarantine, everybody just throwing out intelligence. That is not how intelligence is managed. Intelligence simply means something new. When the CIA were tracking Osama bin Laden, they got an intelligence. They had thought that this guy would be sending mails through his email. Until they got that intelligence. No, he didn't do that. He doesn't do that. What he does is this. He will just draft a message. Go to XYZ location. Kill 200 people. Ensure you maximize the damages. And he will leave it in his messages. For example, you are sending a mail, Kemi, and somebody give you a call. You leave that mail. You will come back and access that mail in your draft. So it was when they got that intelligence that most of Osama bin Laden's mail were not sent. That is why it took them long to get him. They now went to the, draft. When they cracked into it, they saw that all his communication was in his draft. What he does is that he just gives you the password. I will put the message in the draft. I will lock my system. Then you will access it with my password in any location you are. Just go straight to draft. You will see that message there. So intelligence, gave America that breakthrough. So for me, the Nigerian government should start looking at, building a formidable intelligence team. No country survives without intelligence. Intelligence is the bedrock of every given nation. It's something new. What is happening? What is the enemy? What are the enemy's plans? What is the enemy's plans? What are they trying to do? Let us know. But there's no coordination. I will advise. Let's build a command control center where you disburse intelligence. Sometimes last year, the DSS released 1 or 2 intelligence about a would-be criminal activity. And it happened. No, but nothing was done.
Nothing was done.
Yes. You understand? So we need to also understand that some agencies should be respected, well respected. Not when civil defense is releasing intelligence, another agency is releasing intelligence. No. We're talking about national development and nation building. All intelligence must go to a box, command control center, where that investigation will be processed. But remember, each intelligence you received, just like they said, an accused remain innocent until what? Proven guilty. Yeah. Any intelligence you receive from the security perspective is considered true. Until that intelligence pass through screening, then you filter it and pick the facts and throw away the shafts. So that's how it is.
Each time there is a kidnap or there's a crime committed at a very large level, do you a lot of times suspect sabotage?
Oh, sure. Sure. Sabotage. Of course, yes. Because how would you move? We're not talking about You know, birds, we're not talking about birds or flies. We're talking about human beings, grown-up people, you know. You just match them 200, 300, and you just go with it. And before they come, you see, when you give crime opportunity to flourish, you are failing the area of security. And that is why Sir Robert Peace, over 100 years ago, he is the founder of modern-day policing. Over 100 years ago, he said the best way to prove the effectiveness of the policing system, now take note, policing could be the military, the army, the navy, the air force, whatever the case may be, or the police. The best way for you to assess their effectiveness is the absence of crime. But if you ask me, what is the effectiveness of our security agents? I will say, check the presence of crime. So the crime rate in Nigeria is on the high rise. Every day now we're receiving negative news. I was speaking on BBC a few days ago, and the guy asked me, he said, why is it that the people in this country are very hostile to our security forces? Now, what do? You are trying to, you send in the military or the police to go and carry out protection mechanism or protection strategy, then this same military are being killed, the police are being killed. What do? So that tells you that a lot needs to be done.
Right, and you know, looking at the latest landmark case on our hands, the Kuriga kidnap, students in their hundreds, more than 100, were kidnapped in Kaduna State and then get to be rescued. You know, in Zamfara State. You know, this same Zamfara State that is of concern to so many. And you know, looking at the dynamics of the case, the nature of such crimes, like is it the cross-border nature, I'll call it now. Tell us what you know is running through your minds, and you know how such things or how such incidents can be curbed. Our response as a country to cases like this, we hope it will be the last, but you know, looking at the indices on ground now, you know, how do we overcome this problem?
I wouldn't say God forbid. I believe it will not be the last. That is the truth, the bitter truth. It won't be the last, because we don't learn from incidents. You know, if an incident is taking place in XYZ location, we need to carry out a case study of that incident. Then you yourself in XYZ location, you say, look at what happened in Sokoto State. We are here in Maiduguri State. Please, let's try to plan. But here is that when incident happens, we just see it as an incident. We don't put planning into place. Because I wonder how Chibok girls were kidnapped. And most of these schools knew what happened in Chibok. Some of them still leave their school vulnerable. Are you with me? We've talked about safe school declaration here, outlines. They've given. Nigeria was the fourth country that hosted the Safe School Declaration. So why are they not implementing those guidelines? Because if this Zamfara State governor is experiencing this, what he needs to do is that call the Minister of Education to order. Say, please, can I see the Safe School Declaration outlines? After seeing that outlines, then what he needs to do is to give him a marching order. Then first of all, give him a marching order to go and carry out an assessment of all the schools in Zamfara State. If there's any place that is a crime-prone area, close up that school and move those guys, send them to boarding schools in a city where they can, you know, go and study. Because it's so sad that these children just wake up one morning, go to school, and they never come back home. Right. You know, they belong to a family. So for me, we should start looking at, you know, effectively dealing with this situation step by step. Let's not just look at crime just as if it's okay. We should start looking at putting in reasonable measures. When these students were kidnapped, Kemi, it took us how many weeks to even rescue these guys? If you try that in some foreign country, most of these bandits, in fact, the way they are operating in Nigeria, they operate so cheap. The way they are operating in Nigeria, this bandit, if they try that in an advanced country, none of them will escape, because you'll see them come in number, catch them in number. Why? But we don't have the surveillance equipment to check their movement, monitor their movement, or we have an area surveillance that will be deployed to follow them. That is what we classified as psychological deterrence. We're not even looking at psychological deterrence in the area of crime prevention.
All right. A good place to rest our conversation, and now we indeed hope for you know, better times, much more palatable news to discuss. Dixon Osaji, thank you for your contributions on the program today.